From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Creature Guide Live. I will have random articles thrown at me, so let's get into the animal news of the day and throw up the first article. It saw a lot occur last time, so let's see what's going on here. Okay, so from the ShreveportTimes.com, yes, you're seeing a white-tailed deer everywhere in Louisiana as population explodes. I didn't think this was a new occurrence. I mean, white-tailed deer are pretty common throughout Louisiana and different types of ecosystems. So, Louisiana's white-tailed deer population has grown to an estimated 1 million animals over the past 2 decades. Wow. That's okay. That I didn't expect. No way. That can't be. Something's got to be off about that. 2 decades? Like from zero? That can't be right. Deer can now be found in all 64 parishes, including the edges of urban areas. I haven't heard of that word before.
Which word?
Parishes?
Parishes. You said 64.
Okay. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Management efforts have been credited with the population success. Deer remain the most popular game for hunters in the state, with recent seasons seeing record harvests. I was thinking because it was Louisiana, maybe it was the alligator, but I guess this makes more sense. Louisiana's white-tailed deer population, okay, over the past half century. Still, though, I mean, maybe if there was absolutely no hunting, and there aren't any wolves there to hunt them, though coyotes do have an impact on the deer population, especially the fawns, but they will go after weak bucks even. And I've only seen that though in certain footage further north, like in different places of like Indiana or Ohio. Um, and there's only somewhere between 400 to 500, I believe, black bears within the state. They also will hunt deer, but they're only going to have so much of an impact on that population. Deer are in every nook and cranny of all 64 parishes. In fact, deer are even present at the edges of many urban areas. Yeah, this isn't surprising. Well, I guess urban's a little more than suburban, where they often forage in neighborhood lawns and flower beds while using city streets as trails. That's a stark contrast to 100 years ago, when population estimates were as few as 20,000 deer statewide. Wow, that's not very common to hear with, especially white-tailed deer populations, but wow. So what, back in the 1920s, that's how few there were. White-tailed deer, though, have been exploding. Like this, they're at their furthest, um, just population extent in history. Like before, there were far fewer white-tailed deer, and there would have also been large numbers of other prey animals as well. But this is interesting. So let's see. Everyone, not just hunters, likely to encounter deer. Uh, okay. Anything else? Let's see. We've been really lucky with good deer herds in Ouachita and Caldwell and Morehouse parishes. I'm guessing there are certain national forests or national wildlife refuges over here as well. Um, let's see. Anything else? No, that seems to be it. Um, I'm not sure if I'd say I'm completely glad that there's a million white-tailed deer within Louisiana, considering like the size of the state. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Actually, that's far fewer than what you see in even. I guess Texas isn't a good representation. There's somewhere around 4 to 5 million white-tailed deer in the state of Texas, but that's definitely one of the largest within the country. So let's go on to the next article. So from voiceofoc.org, Orange County's nonprofit newsroom. So I'm guessing it's taking place over in California. So it's adjacent to Los Angeles. So what do we have? Three cougars. I'm guessing it's a female with her cubs, or the siblings are marching on their own. Mountain lion F30 to F390 on the right, and her two cubs middle and left. on Monday, September 1st, 2025. From the California Carnivores Program, UC Davis Karen C. Dreher Wildlife Health Center. Wow, that is a long title. Can two orphaned 14-month-old mountain lion cubs survive Orange County? Let's see. The two orphan cubs, estimated to be about 14 months old, are on their own, wandering the Orange County wilderness. Hmm. Well, at least by what we can see, they seem to have, healthy fur. They do seem a bit thin, though. Like cougars, since they're closely related to animals like cheetahs, they do tend to have a very slender sort of gait, but they look a little underfed. Their mother, called F390 by the UC Davis scientists that spent almost 2 years tracking her, was killed earlier this month. Oh, by a car along Highway 74, which is surrounded by the Cleveland National Forest wilderness. Naturally, in the wild, cubs would stay with their mothers for up to 2 years before splitting off so that these two are being left to fend for themselves earlier than usual. The cubs find themselves in a dangerous middle ground where they're too old to be taken in by a zoo, but a little young to have left their mother naturally. That's funny. Okay, so if the kittens would be younger, since their survival would have been severely compromised in the wild, they would be captured and brought to a rehab facility as we have done in the past. With this being said, they should most likely be all right, as UC Davis Mountain Lion Project Director Winston Vikers said they would have only had 3 or 4 months, 4 more months with their mother. Yeah, 14 months, that really is a big question. I mean, they might stay with her for sometimes more than 2 years. So that's a big question. Still,
Is that because they're learning from her?
yeah, they still are. It's also, I mean, tracking, the urban environment, unless there's some sort of food source that happens to be extremely common outside, cats, dogs. Not going to really include things like pigeons. I'm not sure what that would be. I'm not sure what the mule deer population is over in Orange County, how plentiful animals, like, they're not going to be sustaining themselves off of like gray foxes.
Can
There are
they be
raccoons.
can they protect themselves at 14 months?
From larger cougars, it's going to be quite challenging. Even certain coyote packs in the area, it's really a big question. Maybe depending on how large they are, but they definitely would be just trying to avoid every other predator in the region. So let's see. Bobcats would probably be okay with. It gets them into trouble, noting that young mountain lions are more likely to be curious about humans. If you actually break it down and look at the types of attacks that are happening, it's the young male cougars that are the ones that are the most confused about what is food and what isn't food. UC Davis Carnivore Project was monitoring the mother from February of 2024 until she died on September 4th. Along with UC Davis, groups like the Center for Biological Diversity and an Orange County based nonprofit, Hills for Everyone, has been working to protect these natural lands and ensure the safety of California's iconic predator. Oh, so they did what the Philadelphia Zoo did, where they can walk around people. Okay, so mountain lions are California's staple, as the state has the densest population out of all of the 16 states that they're found in. Pretty sure they're no. Well, my guess is that they're pretty much looking at the sightings that have occurred in all of the lower 48, or just the continental United States in general. Maybe making rare marches into Alaska. Along with being an iconic California species, the large cats are incredibly important to California's natural ecosystem. The reason is when you don't have a cougar, then you have an explosion of mid level predators. The reason this can become an issue is mid level predators are much more effective raiders of bird nests, which can impact bird populations. I think that's just called the house cat because, animals like gray foxes, bobcats, sure, they will go after bird nests, but feral cats are horrible. With less birds, plant seeds aren't distributed as well, with those impacts rippling down the entire ecosystem. The Center for Biological Diversity has worked to ensure state level protection for California mountain lions. Oh, okay. Let's see. I thought there was a cougar. Let's see. Is there anything else? Let's see. Hills for Everyone works to protect land in the Puente Chino Hills Wildlife Corridor, and a particularly important area that was protected was that of Coal Canyon, an open space corridor that was added to the Chino Hills State Park. One of the reasons Coal Canyon was so important was that it provided much needed passage across the 91 freeway. Yeah, many of these urban mountain lions, especially over in the Los Angeles area, tend to be cut off from other populations. So that's been a big problem with genetic variety. Even and not just the cougars, also when it even comes to certain prey populations like the mule deer, even like the gray foxes in the region. There was one mountain lion, M6, and he was the only one going across the 91 freeway, and he was doing it only at Coal Canyon. Along with this, some efforts have been made by organizations such as the local Transportation Corridor Agency to improve connectivity and protect wildlife from the roads. However, incidents like these still happen. For example, just last year, another one of the mountain lions tracked by UC Davis, F312 or Uno, was also struck by a car. Gosh. Although TCA mitigation efforts, including wildlife fencing, jump out ramps, and undercrossings, seem to work well, scientists and policy advocates say they need to be more widely adapted to making a lasting difference. It's a very, it's one of the most densely populated areas in the United States. So, oh, huh. I wonder specifically where this is. Wow. Okay. So she has three kittens. Doesn't say who specifically this is. So that was earlier that year. Now there's
Is it
only
possible it's them?
two. Could be. Didn't show a third cub on the last one, unless he was just further back. Less than a mile from where F390 was hit on Highway 74, there were two designated wildlife crossings that had been used previously by other mountain lions. The issue is a lack of integration. In her F390 case, fencing very likely would have prevented this fatality. We don't know her motivation to cross the highway at that spot, but fencing would have made the difference. So just this month, okay, so they're putting up um, four distinct fencing along the toll roads. The project was started in 2022, the same year a local mountain lion that captured the imagination of many observers. P22 was killed after roaming the Griffith Park area for years. Yeah, that guy. Let's see. I-15 and 91
How
with
old was P22?
when he died, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old at least. I-15 and 91 with the ocean on the other side pretty much isolate the Santa Ana mountain lions. So they're sitting in an island of habitat with not very good ability to get out of it or have new animals come in. With while the I-15 and 91 seem like the biggest threats, every new road in wildland areas serves to further, yeah, obviously. Okay, so yeah, the inbreeding problem. This struggling Santa Ana Mountains puma population can't afford to lose another member. Okay. So while the two orphan cubs are now on their own, they're not exactly alone as the UC Davis Carnivore Project is working to track them via camera traps and radio collar them in the near future. They're still alone. That was funny. Okay. I
How would radio collaring them protect them?
no, it wouldn't. I really do hope that they make it. And they're able to be able to have cubs with other cougars in the area and they have plentiful supply with their prey items. So let's go into the next article. So from KDVR.com, let's see. Front range bear sightings increase as cold weather seasons approach. So it looks like this is coming in from Colorado. So I'm guessing this is along the Rocky Mountain front, adjacent to maybe Denver, Boulder. Let's see. Jefferson County, Colorado. Residents along Colorado's Front Range can expect to see more bear activity as the hibernation season nears. Colorado Parks and Wildlife reports more than 3,000 bear encounters so far this year. That number is expected to increase as bears now require more than 20,000 calories a day to prepare for the winter months. Well, they can obtain that much. That's a lot for any black bear, but they don't need necessarily that much each day. So let's see. This is a period. Okay, so Stuart Sauer tells Fox 31 he often sees bears twice a day at his Jefferson County home, but was shocked to see a huge bear pulling his 500-pound trailer toward an embankment. So a bear has pulled the trailer down the hillside. There was a trash can attached to it to keep the bear from pulling the trash can down the hillside, and it pulled them both down.
Wait, is this another one or is this the same one I gave you before? Just a
Oh,
different
did we do
source?
this?
I don't
Yeah, it
think
was.
well, it's not the same one, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does have some of the same stuff. Okay, well, let's go to the next one. You're still going to have it for at least another 3 or 3.5 months for black bears. If you're just even talking about Colorado, are going to be packing on the pounds, going after berries, nuts. Um, but they'll even scavenge meat if they have the ability to. I even go after still certain ants and termites. I think. Oh, yeah, yeah. So Mastodon. Oh, by Herex.com. Mastodon migrations with the glacier's ice age, or with the with the glacier's ice revealed in new paper. So, live reconstruction of the famous Mammoth americanum, or the American mastodon. Wow, it's from 1897, and it's by Charles Robert Knight. So, this is by one of the big paleo artists back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Painted different pictures
Is
of.
that a good sound or a bad sound you made?
Yeah, it's a good sound. Yeah, he was painting Tyrannosaurus Rex, Stegosaurus, actually a wide range, different duckbill dinosaurs, sauropods, as well as different prehistoric animals. Not just Ice Age or Pleistocene animals, so from like 2 million years ago to about 11,000 years ago. You even had it where he was painting earlier species of camels, far earlier species of saber tooths, and even like the large like rhino like saber tooths, the Uintatheres, which were distantly related to saber tooths and as well like saber tooth cats, but definitely very distantly related to the rhinos. Anyway, let's keep going. Giant elephants were more diverse than we had appreciated. It turns out a new study published Friday in Science Advances based on ancient mitochondrial DNA from 7 mastodons at the far edges of their known ranges reveals 3 main things. One is that there wasn't just one Ice Age mastodon species in North America, there were two. The familiar Mammoth americanum and, as of 2019, Mammoth pacificus. Yeah, I think we already knew this. This diversity had long been suspected paleontologically, but now it's confirmed genetically. Or maybe there were three, Mastodon in Mexico. Who exactly were you? Two is that the two Mastodon species, Americanus and Pacificus, had overlapping ranges and likely interbred. Or three is that mastodons migrated with the movement of glaciers in America. When the ice retreated, they went north. When the ice advanced, northern mastodons died out or went south. Their range extended as far as Honduras. Earlier in time, or possibly within this time, you had different species of mastodon occurring down in South America. Honduras is still within Central America. You haven't reached Panama yet. But um, when it comes to also the glacier movements consistently, like for the past 2 million years, well, until about 11,000 years ago, you had consistent movement of the glacial retreat as well as the encroachment of the glaciers over in different parts of Europe, Asia, and North America. Why actually?
Wait a minute. So when how do glaciers even end up um, advancing?
I'm guessing that's simply due. Well, yeah. How is it where I'm guessing you have like some sort of massive heat wave come through? But yeah, how is
Wouldn't
it
that be
with the?
retreating?
Oh, were you talking about encroaching?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How does that work? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into in depth when it comes to how glacial movement works. So let's see. Or anything else? I'm just scrolling through this because all of this is just basic mammoth or seems to be mammoth or mastodon knowledge. I mean, here you have the distinct scissor-like tooth structure, which means that this mastodon was feeding on different species of leaves. Mammoths, on the other hand, have more of like a smooth, rigid surface, which means that they were most likely feeding on different species of grass over on the mammoth steppe. The interesting thing is that this is pretty accurate when it comes to size comparison. Woolly mammoths in general weren't much larger than a big bull Asian elephant of today. So we're talking about like a 7-ton, maybe, animal. And they did have also slightly more, well, I'd say much more curved tusks than today's Asian elephants, tend to be quite straight tusked. And then mastodons, they were quite straight in their tusk length, but they only reached about 7 to 8 feet in length. But were much more stockier than the mammoths, so they could have reached more than 9 tons in some instances. Mm, okay, so it's just talking about, elephant evolution. Let's just go to,
Those are those tapirs?
no, these are more Ethereum. So this is an older species of, specifically young elephant from Africa. So this is related to animals such as like Theomaya. These distinct elephants probably didn't reach much more than I'd say somewhere around 400 to 700 pounds. There were big like today's elephant. It was more of like saber teeth for these types of elephants, and they had very small ears for the time. Same thing for Maya, just slightly longer tail compared to their body size, very short. They probably didn't reach much more than 3 to 4 feet in height. Oh, so let's head on to the next article. Okay, so from the dailygalaxy.com, scientists found an intact skull fossil of an ancient creature with legs that once crawled the earth. Scientists have discovered a 95 million year old snake fossil and it still has legs. The implications are bigger than they look. Oh, wow. Well, is that its leg? This is quite interesting. I mean, if they're that small, it's almost like what you see with earlier species of cetacean or whale, such as Basilosaurus, and they had very small hind flippers, and it's a big mystery as to what they would have been used for. Hidden for 95 million years beneath layers of sediment, the remarkably well-preserved skull of an ancient legged snake species, Nahash rhyonegrina, has now revealed a chapter of evolutionary history that's been missing for decades. The findings, first published in the journal Science Advances, are helping paleontologists piece together how these limbless reptiles evolved from their four limbed ancestors. So let's see, this discovery dates back to February 2013 when Fernando Gabaroglio, then just an undergraduate paleontology student,
That name is funny.
yeah, he stumbled across a small piece of bone during his very first field expedition. It turned out to be a complete snake skull, incredibly rare and, in this case, historically significant. The fossil was found in the La Buitrera paleontological area, a site already known for its rich fossil beds tucked away in the Rio Negro province of Argentina. While remains of Nahash had been found before, including a partial skull and body with rear limbs, this was the first time researchers had access to a complete 3D skull of the species. That skull is now the most complete Mesozoic snake skull known and preserves key data on ancient snake anatomy.
Are we
Wow.
gonna get pictures of it?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Oh, they might be coming up. But this is interesting. I wasn't expecting this to be the most complete skull, so this is good to hear. And also, it didn't show its skull in the original picture. What makes Nahash particularly fascinating is that it was a terrestrial snake. Okay, just means it lived on land. Earlier discoveries of legged snakes had mostly been marine. Oh, I didn't know that. I just, when it comes to these specific legged snakes, I haven't been focusing on them. Raising questions about whether snakes originally evolved in the ocean, but this fossil shows that Nahash slithered across land, not through water, and likely thrived in arid desert like environments.
Oh, I'm sorry. He has legs.
Yeah.
How did he slither?
Oh, yeah, I was okay. Yeah, should have been just simply, you could have said maybe maneuvered or
Walked.
wobbled. Yeah, walked. So I guess this is the specific specimen.
If that's his head, I'm scared.
Yeah, it's probably the whole specimen. I was thinking that this snake was tiny, so apparently I'm guessing it's not that small. The skull of Nahash is a weird but fascinating mix of old school lizard traits and newer snake features. On one hand, it has mobile joints, the kind that let modern snakes open their jaws wide and swallow big prey. But on the other, it still holds onto some lizard like bones, including one behind the eye called the juggle. For years, most experts thought snakes had lost the juggle entirely and that the bone behind the eye was a postorbital leftover from their lizard ancestors. But Nahash flips that idea on its head. The bone is in the right spot, shaped the right way, and connected just like the L-shaped juggle found in the lizards today. That means it's the postorbital that vanished over time, not the juggle. Postorbital. Yeah, I've heard of that specific term when it comes to skeletons. For a long time, the go to theory was that snakes come from blind, burrowing lizards. That idea mostly came from how snakes look today long, legless, and often underground. Scientists believed modern scelo- skelecophidians, those tiny worm like snakes that live beneath the surface, were basically living versions of what ancient snakes once were. But Nahash doesn't really fit that mold. This prehistoric snake had a wide jaw packed with sharp teeth, and nothing like the small mouthed underground snakes we see today. Its body structure is actually more similar to large surface dwelling lizards like Komodo dragons, which flips the story a bit. Maybe snakes didn't start out in the dirt after all. Maybe they came from above ground, from lizard ancestors that were already starting to ditch their limbs. As paleontologist Michael Caldwell put it, snakeness is really old, and that's probably why we don't have any living representatives of four-legged snakes like we do all of the other lizards. Basically, snakes were early experimenters in going limbless, and they've been fine-tuning that body plan for way longer than we thought. Well, that's interesting.
Aren't
Wow.
there legless lizards?
Yes, yes, there are different species of legless lizard, and they're medicinally related to snakes. But this is very well intact. Wow, look at that skull. It's very well cleaned. This must have taken a while to clean because it was embedded in the um
Are those
whatever
teeth?
sediment it was in. Yep. Yeah, those are teeth. Yeah, it's a very intact skeleton. All of this. The discovery also reshapes our understanding of limb loss in snakes. Evidence from Nahash shows that the ancestors of snakes likely had four limbs, but began losing their front limbs very early in the evolutionary timeline, possibly around 170 million years ago. So, in the case of Nahash, the hind limbs remained for tens of millions of years before being phased out entirely. Well, that's it. Well, it's good to hear that we found Nahash, this species of snake over in Argentina. And yeah, hope we find out even more about the evolution of snakes and even look into the more marine ones. So let's go ahead into the next article. Oh, this is strange. From Earth.com. Who is this fish? Fishermen catch a large eyed shark never before documented in the country. Fishermen in the western Visayas brought a small, large eyed shark to a local port, and a visiting research team recognized what they were seeing. It was a sandbar shark. Oh, a species never before verified in the Philippines. Oh, that's where we were. I was confusing it with like a mountain range. Okay. According to a recent peer reviewed study.
Wait a minute, a shark went for a hike?
Well, I thought maybe like it was adjacent to like a certain mountain range, like on a coast. Three males were recorded at roughly 14 to 15 inches or 35 to 38 centimeters long, which is smaller than published birth size for the species and a red flag for management. Like you can't fish it, or I'm not sure. The work was led by Roxane. Oh, right. Okay. This is the first verified report of Carcahynus plumbeus from Philippine waters. So, this specific genus and species of this sand shark recorded like this reshape records like this reshape field guides, update species lists, and influence rules that affect what fishers can catch and when. Finding very small individuals matters for another reason. Young sandbar sharks often use shallow coastal habitats as nursery areas, and consistent landings of tiny sharks can signal pressure where it hurts most. The team described the sharks with clear field traits. They noted the large eyes, the dark gray body above a white belly, and the tall first dorsal fin with all fins carrying dusky tips. Market based surveys give a window into what swims near the shore and what fishing gear is catching it. They also keep the spotlight on species that pass through ports without ever reaching scientific journals on or museums. Sandbar sharks are a fixture in many fisheries across the world. In fact, because of its numbers, moderate size, palatable meat, and high fin to carcass ratio, it is the primary targeted species in this area. Growth and reproduction are slow in this species. That life history pattern makes populations easy to deplete and slow to rebound. Yeah. Healthy. Well, I don't know exactly when it comes to the species how long it takes to reproduce and like how many pups, which is what you call a baby shark, they have at once. Healthy sandbar shark populations help hold food webs together in coastal waters. They feed on fish, squid, and crustaceans. Mid-sized predators like these sharks can shape which species thrive. The new Philippine records, no, records highlight a local piece of a global story. Small scale fisheries like those in Western Visayas carry real weight for species that take years to mature. The team focused on cartilaginous fish, a group that includes sharks, rays, skates, and chimeras. Over 2 years of market and port visits across Pene and Guamaras, it documented 14 species, including 6 sharks, 7 rays, and 1 chimera. 2 batoids stood out as likely undescribed species. The batoids. It's not hitting me. That tells us there is still hidden diversity in busy coastal waters that are fished regularly. A ghost shark, several cat sharks, spot-tailed shark, and familiar rays also turned up. Each specimen was each specimen was purchased, cataloged, and moved to a lab for analysis. All specimens are now housed in the University of the Philippines Visayas Museum of Natural Sciences. That means other scientists can verify the identifications. The team paired classical measurements with DNA barcoding, a method that compares a short stretch of DNA to reference sequences. So I guess they're going to confirm the shark's species. The target marker was mitochondrial COI gene, which is widely used for identifying fishes. Hmm. Barcode matches reinforce the field identifications and flagged the 2 rays that did not fit known species. When morphology and genetics agree, confidence is high, and when they disagree, researchers know where to dig deeper. Detailed photographs and measurements were taken for every shark and ray. Those data with the DNA sequences create a durable record that outlives any single survey. Voucher specimens, photographs, and barcodes make the results reusable. So, well, that's the specific shark. Hmm. So let's see. Generation length of around 20 to 26 years. So the survey also recorded specimens of Philippine guitar shark, including a juvenile, which adds key piece of life history information. The species was first described for Philippine markets as known for its restricted range. Knowing where juveniles show up can guide protection of critical habitats. For a ray with a narrow distribution, the knowledge can make the difference. A chimera, sometimes called a ghost shark, can turn up too. That record shows that even deep slope species can pass through coastal ports and be captured in routine monitoring. Well, that's it. Um, okay, well, hope we get some more info about these specific sharks. Wasn't a whole lot that we obtained from the article.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a non-prehistoric article that I pulled.
Oh, okay. Well, um, So, moving forward from IFLscience.com, in 2011, Slavk the wolf journeyed 1,000 miles to begin Verona's first wolf pack in 100 years. So, his pups marked the first documented case of a wolf from the Balkans breeding with a wolf from the Apennines. Apennines. That sounds like adjacent to France or possibly Spain. Unless I'm thinking of somewhere else. So, would you? Oh, this isn't him. Which okay, so it's a claim. Okay, even the proclaimers could only last 500, but I can tell you of at least one individual, Slavk the Eurasian wolf. So let's see what this guy did. 2011, Slavk stunned scientists when seemingly unprompted, he decided to ditch his family and embark on a 1,600 kilometer or 1,000 mile journey through the Alps. Wait, Apennines. This might be Italy. Oh, I'm just guessing at this point. Ah, tackling treacherous terrain and extreme weather to arrive north of Verona in Italy. It was a part of the world that hadn't seen wolves for a century, and then that all changed. Slavsk's journey led him to Juliet, a female wolf. Seriously? Okay, that's fine. Just
Is this a love story?
yeah, might as well named him. You know what? Never mind. As luck would have it, the pair hit it off and mated, welcoming to the region a litter of pups. It marked the first return of wolves to this part of Europe in 100 years, and the population has been gradually increasing ever since. You have to remember when it comes to these different mountain ranges, just in Europe alone, many tend to think of like the Alps they might have, which is throughout parts of France, Switzerland, southern Germany, Austria, Slovenia, and northern Italy. But then you might have where people might be familiar with like the different Norwegian mountains or maybe the Pyrenees Mountains in southern France and northern Spain. But there's a variety of these like smaller mountain ranges also like within these different countries. So even the Alps itself, it isn't just the Alps. There's actually distinct smaller mountain ranges within the Alps. So that's why sometimes you can get confused with your mountains. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, also, if this is specifically in Italy, I believe there's somewhere around 2 to 3,000 wolves within Italy. Now they're also spread out throughout the country. Let's see. As okay, we got to follow along Sloth's epic journey thanks to the ongoing monitoring of wolves in Slovenia, led by a team including Hubert Potocnik at the University of these trackers.
What was that?
I have no idea. These trackers provide around 7 updates on a wolf's location a day, and Slavsk's data started to make for very interesting reading. So should we play this? Okay, so I'm guessing that's him and his mate. Oh, slow motion again. Guessing what is this? Winter or maybe early spring? Oh, well. Okay, so the first sign he was up to something strange came when they observed him crossing 2 large motorways far outside of his territory. It's hard to know what motivated the wolf to ditch his pack in search of the uncertain. Well, he's not allowed to reproduce if he's going to stay with his pack. So just wanted to start one of his own. But whatever was proved to be enough to push him on a seemingly impossible journey. Slav's tracker cropped up in a town, leading Pucknick to fear he had been shot, but then it continued on towards Austria, where he crossed rivers and came into uncomfortable proximity to farmland. Large predators like Eurasian wolves can result in costly fatalities for. Okay, so let's keep going. Do, do, do. Oh, wait, is that him? Is that his pack? Are those all of his pups? Whoa. Wow. Yeah, that looks really good. What does he have? Like 4 or 5 pups right there? That's a pretty successful litter.
Oh, they look
Central.
like they're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing really well.
Don't bite my tail. I'll bite your paw.
Okay, well, let's keep. So, as he continued on to the Alps, Sloth managed to avoid getting caught up in any such conflicts and journeyed through heavy snow until he arrived in Italy. It was an impressive journey, but he wasn't the first wolf to be spotted in Italy at the time. Well, depending on where you were, I mean, yeah, or where he was, yeah, there's several packs. No, that race was won by a female. Forestry official had filmed a female in the regional natural park of Lassigna, marking the first time a wolf had been seen here in 100 years. Sloth didn't exactly make a beeline for her, but after a failed visit to a female in a zoo, he turned back and their paths finally crossed.
Okay, that's good.
So he made it to a zoo. He's like, "Oh, you're no, this can't happen." Okay. The success of these two star-crossed lovers' union was captured in camera traps that photographed two wolf pups. They were record breakers as babies, being the only known example of offspring born between a wolf from the Balkans and another from the Apennines. Oh, that wasn't hitting me. He's a Balkan wolf, and he decided to um, migrate to Italy. So that's interesting because there's different distinct subspecies of wolf in this distinct part of Europe. So let's see. So you can see why she ended up with a name like Juliet. Well, oh, okay. So he's a okay.
He's a Shakespearean wolf.
Yeah. Well, she's just never mind. Adam Weymouth or Weymouth quite literally wrote the book on Sloth. It's called Lone Wolf, and as he recently wrote for the author, a decade on, this part of Italy is now home to over 100 wolves. I guess this might be over in northern, possibly Italy, but I think the Apennines is further south, so it could be like adjacent to like where like the Abruzzo National Park is with the 50 brown bears in the region.
How many kids did he have?
I'm guessing that was his litter. It looked like, I mean, it was mentioning his name on the
Like
video.
100 of them?
Oh, they could be spread out. I was concerned. I'm like, is this the only pack? Because this isn't good. But maybe they'll have his instinct too. It's like, okay, we're gonna leave. Anyway, we might not know why an 18-month-old wolf decided to go for a walk and never come back all those years ago. But we do know it started a love story for the ages. Well, okay, so yeah, I'm glad they had some pups. It's going to be interesting subspecies hybrids, but um technically you could say like I think possibly the Balkan wolves or especially the wolves over in northeastern Italy are pretty closely related to the ones over in like Slovenia, who's adjacent to there, not was it Montenegro and Kosovo? Anyway, let's move on to the
Are
next
you
article.
asking me that?
No, 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 it's just
Okay. I'm
questioning.
like, I don't know.
Okay, so from news.mongabay.com, wild horses return to Spain's Iberian highlands after 10,000 years. Why? I mean, I know horses been roaming Spain for a while, but if it's been 10,000 years, I mean, what's the benefit of bringing them back? For the first time more than 10,000 years, wild horses once again roam Spain's northwestern highlands. 35 horses introduced by rewilding Spain are bringing renewed resilience to the land. I mean, if it's possible that they could have the same distinct niche as the other horses did in the area, it's possible maybe bringing them, or at this point, introducing them to the region, it might be okay. And if they had been absent for, like, somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000 years, I could probably call it you could call it reintroduction, but 10,000? Not so much. In 2023, an initial 16 Przewalski's horses Equus Przewalski, the world's last fully wild horse. Oh, yeah. And these guys also tend to be quite inbred because back at some point in the 1900s, there were only a handful of individuals remaining. So they do not have a lot of genetic variety. Their population has been increasing, but they're quite inbred. Were introduced to the municipality of Villanueva de Alcoron in Guadalajara, a sparsely populated province 2 hours from Madrid, Spain's capital city. They are special. For me, every day I go to work is like the first same excitement. Um,
Like, don't eat the paste special?
what's the?
Mm,
I don't get it.
Kids eating glue.
Oh, uh, well, I hope not. Horses are a key element for rewilding the Iberian Highlands, which today are mostly made up of land left degraded by abandoned crops and pastures. Through grazing, the horses are helping to restore ecosystem health and prevent wildfires. Oh, yeah, that's been nuts.
I thought you were gonna say horses were a key element in making glue.
Oh, no. Uh, you need the horses to shorten the grass. Overgrown long grass can be a dangerous fire hazard, especially during droughts, as it allows fire to spread quickly across large expanses. In 2005, I was going to think, oh, okay, a massive wildfire in the region killed 11 people and burned more than 13,000 hectares or 32,000 acres. Combination of decades of overgrowth, a lack of megafauna, and climate change has increased the risk of destructive wildfires in the region. Well, yeah, there have been different wildfires occurring in different parts of southern Europe, some of which don't seem to add up despite certain ecological issues. Rewilding. Okay, so let's see. The reintroduction of horses in the region builds on earlier work. Rewilding Spain previously introduced Taurus cattle, which resemble the wild orcs that inhabited Europe until their extinction in the 17th century over in Poland, where they last died out. The group is also building up the rabbit population, so it can later reintroduce the Iberian lynx. Well, I guess to a specific region, because I believe, unless I'm wrong, the Iberian lynx has already started making a comeback to Spain, or it's been reintroduced.
Wait, so they're putting the rabbits there for food for the lynx?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, they'll quickly reproduce. But also, yeah. So they're putting Spanish cattle in the region to help bring back that distinct niche that the orc would have had. Let's see. So it's also working on bringing back two species of vultures to add to the ecosystem's biodiversity. Today, the reintroduced animals roam through 23,000 acres or 57,000 acres of land. I say 23,000 acres, I meant to say hectares. But rewilding Spain's ultimate goal is far more ambitious to eventually rewild roughly 850,000 acres or 2.1 million acres of land. Oh, hectares. Um, an area nearly four times the size of Luxembourg. I always find it funny when they compare it to like small countries. What's bigger than the Faroe Islands or Ireland? It's like, okay, I guess Rhode Island would be a better comparison, but that's a state. Anyway, um, I mean, I'm glad that the horses are going to have most likely, I'm guessing, a positive niche impact in this region beyond just preventing wildfires, like even helping with restoring nutrients to the soil as well as creating shelter for other animals. Okay, so from sciencealert.com, great white sharks were scared from their habitat by just two predators. Let me guess. An orca took a bite out of him. Maybe a sperm whale, but you don't really tend to hear that from sperm whales. Maybe other sharks? N- no sea creature inspires terror rightly or wrongly as much as the white shark does. With its sleek body, okay, which is odd considering how rare they are. I mean, there could be as few as 2,000 of them, but ranges from like 2,000 to possibly 7,500. Let's see. Carcharodon carcharias, so it's the great white. Um, From 2017, scientists have documented that the sharks have made themselves extremely scarce off the coast of South Africa, where they usually congregate. Yeah, that's the thing, because in certain wildlife documentaries, you tend to see great white sharks off the coast of South Africa certain times of the year, especially when the Cape fur seals along the coast of the country and even Namibia are having their pups, and so they're preying on surplus of pups. But there's only maybe somewhere between 300 to 500 of them in the region, so it's a very small population. But they definitely make their appearance. Initially, the strange disappearance was blamed on human activity, such as overfishing. But in 2022, research confirmed and detailed the true culprit, a pair of orcas. It's always them. Nicknamed port and starboard for the distinctive kinks in their dorsal fins, hunting the sharks and slurping out their delicious, nutritious, vitamin rich livers. It is horrible how, well, I mean, it's also kind of neat too, but it's unfortunate. Like orcas will literally go up to a great white shark and just rip its liver out. I mean, they're pretty effective at it. Once upon a time, the fishing town of Gunspy on the South African coast was something of a mecca for shark spotters. So heavily populated with the predators that nearby Dyer Island is considered the great white shark capital of the world. Dyer. So are these the culprits? Yep. Port on the left and starboard on the right. Over in July 2024. Sheesh. That's not good for those sharks. Over the last few years, however, the shark's presence has been diminishing. I wonder why. Them. In addition, since 2017, at least 9 great white sharks have been washed ashore at Gunsby, several of them missing livers and some of them without their hearts. The hallmark of an orca attack. And white sharks aren't the only prey. Port and starboard have been implicated in a broad-nosed 7 gill shark killing spree, wiping out at least 17 in a single day. Sheesh. These guys really like tempura. I've never heard of a shark, just shrimp. The wounds on these sharks are distinctive and have been traced to the same pair of orcas. It's likely scientists believe that the pair are responsible for many more great white deaths that haven't washed ashore. We know from other studies that the presence of orcas can drive great white sharks away pretty adroitly. One study in 2020 found that great whites will scarper away without fail from preferred hunting waters off the coast of San Francisco if an orca makes an appearance in the region. Well, for some reason, they tend to be more sensitive in that area, but they possibly have a bit more access to food, or at least to the Cape fur seals in that region. The seals aren't the only things that they're feeding on. They're feeding on possibly, squid, different species of fish. But for some reason, off of California, they tend to scurry a bit quicker. In a study from 2022 using long term sighting and tracking data from tagged sharks, a team of scientists led by marine biologist Alison Towner of the Dyer Island Conservation Trust found that orcas are the reason sharks are starting to avoid what used to be some of their favorite spots. Yeah. Now here's some relevant carnage. Gosh. Initially, following an orca attacking guns by individual great white sharks did not appear for weeks or months. They fled. Maybe they headed over to Australia, but there's orcas in some of those waters as well. They have to go somewhere. What we seem to be witnessing, though, is a large scale avoidance rather than a fine scale strategy, mirroring what we see used by wild dogs in the Serengeti in Tanzania in response to increased lion presence. The more the orcas frequent these sites, the longer the great white sharks stay away. Over the course of 5 years, the team tracked 14 sharks that had been GPS tagged as they fled the area when orcas were present. Sightings of great white sharks are also down quite significantly in several bays. Ish, this is unfortunate. This is a huge deal. Only twice before had great white sharks been noted as absent for a week or more in guns by since record keeping began. A period of 1 week in 2007 and a period of 3 weeks in 2017. Sheesh, that's a massive jump. The new absences, the researchers said, are unprecedented. They're also ongoing. In a paper published earlier this year, Towner and her colleagues documented two sightings of port and starboard attacking sharks and eating their livers. Worryingly, these attacks are altering the ecosystem. In the absence of great white sharks, copper sharks, Cacarnis bacarus, are moving in to fill the vacant ecological niche. These sharks are preyed upon by great whites. With no great whites around, the orcas are hunting the coppers instead. Carcass of great white shark that washed ashore in Gansbai in June 2023, efficiently divested of its liver. Gosh. And notably, they're doing so with a school of predators who have had experience in hunting large sharks. However, balance is crucial in marine ecosystems. For example, with no great white sharks restricting Cape Fur seal behavior, the seals can predate on critically endangered African penguins. Gosh, that wasn't hitting me. So it's not just the otters that those penguins have to deal with, it's them as well. Or compete for the small pelagic fish they eat. That's a top down impact. We also have bottom up trophic pressures from extensive removal of abalone, which graze the kelp forest these species are all connected through. To put it simply, although this is a hypothesis for now, I don't know, it might be a true theory. There is only so much pressure an ecosystem can take, and the impacts of orcas removing sharks are likely far wider reaching. Uh, it's also worth considering the reasons why orcas might be hunting sharks. Their livers are rich sources of nutrition, huge, plump, and full of fats and oil that the sharks use to fuel their epic migratory journeys across the ocean. I mean, I'm kind of wondering, I don't know the approximate population of these specific orcas within the region, but if there's, too many of them, I mean, should there be some management of the orcas? I mean, the question is, will they retaliate or, and, fight back, or will they leave? So that's a big question. But it's unclear how the orcas figured this out. What? Oh. Or why they might see the shark's livers as a preferred source of nutrition. I mean, probably tastes pretty good to them, but it also is, it's rich in different types of nutrients. It's possible that some orcas are adapting to preferently um, hunt sharks, perhaps in response to declining numbers of their preferred prey. An unrelated pond in the Gulf of California has developed its own techniques for hunting whale sharks too. However, given that great white populations are declining worldwide, the added pressure of an efficient predator is a cause for concern.
Aren't whale sharks like
Plankton eaters,
yeah, they
yeah,
you could swim on them.
yeah, but the orcas, they'll hunt young humpback whales, young fin whales, young blue whales, pretty much most cetaceans and yeah, most sharks. This is concerning. The orcas are targeting subadult great white sharks, geesh, which can further impact an already vulnerable shark population owing to their slow growth and late maturing life history strategy. Uh, oh, I guess I forgot about that. It does take a while.
Maybe they're just pissed at SeaWorld.
And go after the sharks, or they hate Spielberg that much. Uh, they're like, we're the top predator. Anyway, increase vigilance using citizen science. Fisher's reports, tourism vessels, as well as continued tracking studies will aid in collecting more information on how these predations may impact the long term ecological balance in these complex coastal seascapes.
Maybe they're mad because movies have been made about Megalodon recently and not them.
Well, yeah, that too, but it's like that's not making the great whites feel any better. But yeah, there hasn't been anything about the orcas. It was just what Free Willy and something else. Uh, Oh, blackfish. But yeah, it's all has to do with captive orcas.
Free Willy eats the kid.
Yeah. Uh, But this is really unfortunate with these great whites. Like, how do you help them in this situation? That's a big question. You want to wipe out the orcas, but Gosh. Okay, so from apnews.com, scientists discover an ancient whale with a Pokemon face. What? And a predator bite. I don't have any knowledge. Okay, just looks like a prehistoric cetacean. Was this Eocene age? Long before whales were majestic, gentle giants, some of their prehistoric ancestors were tiny, weird, and feral. Yeah, some of them. Some are actually quite large. A chance discovery of a 25 million-year-old fossil on an Australian beach has allowed paleontologists to identify a rare, entirely new species that could unlock the mysteries of whale evolution. Wellington, New Zealand, long before whales were. Okay. Researchers this week officially named Hanhucetus doulardi, a cartoonish creature with bulging eyes the size of tennis balls. Oh, it's not. Those aren't small eyes. Unlike today's whales, the juvenile specimen was small enough to what? Was small enough to fit in a single bed. Wow, those are really large eyes. Sheesh. Okay. Boasting fiendish teeth and a shark like snout. However, this oddball of the ocean was nasty, mean, and built to hunt. It was, let's say, deceptively cute. It might have looked for all the world like some kind of like some weird kind of mashup between a whale, a seal, and a Pokemon, but they were very much their own thing. Okay. The rarest discovery of the partial skull, including ear bones and teeth, was made in 2019 on a fossil rich stretch of coast along Australia's Victoria State. On Hook Beach, a cradle for some of the weirdest whales in history, is becoming a hotspot for understanding early whale evolution. Few family trees seem stranger than that of Hanhucetus doulardi, only the fourth species ever identified from a group known as Mammalodontids, early whales that lived only during the Oligocene epoch, about 34 to 23 million years ago. That marked the point about halfway through the known history of whales. The tiny predators, thought to have grown to 3 meters or 10 feet in length, wow, these are small, were an early branch, even for the. That's weird. It said 25 million. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's just Oligocene. Okay, so let's see. We're an early branch on the line that led to today's great baleen whales, such as humpbacks, blues, and blue whales and minke whales. But the toothy ancestors with powerful jaws would have looked radically different to any modern species. They may have had tiny little nubbins of legs just protecting as stumps from the wall of the body. Projecting. Um, yeah, they I forgot that they still would have had possible nubs at this point. I'm just usually familiar with certain ones from like the beginning of the Oligocene epoch or the late Eocene. So we're talking around 34, 35 to 32 million years ago. That mystery will remain tantalizingly unsolved unless a specimen is uncovered with more of its skeleton intact, which would be something of a miracle. Even the partial skull that allowed the initial identification this week was an astonishing discovery. Hanhucetus doulardi was named by researchers after an amateur fossil hunter who doesn't mind its looks in the slightest. It's literally been the greatest 24 hours of my life. High fives coming left, right, and center. His friends and family are probably just relieved it's over. That's all they've heard from me for about the last 6 years. Dillard was on a regular low tide hunt on at Hanhook the day he spotted something black protruding from a cliff, poking it dislodged tooth. He knew enough to recognize it. It was unlikely to belong to a dog or a seal. I thought, geez, we've got something special here. Confirming the find was another matter. This was the first mammalodonted to be identified in Australia since 2006, and only the third on record in the country. Fossils of sufficient quality.
What's a mammalodontid?
Um, I believe like this is a very brief family of like mammals. Like it's not specifically when it comes to like the cetaceans in general. I'm not too familiar with it. It might be an order of a specific mammal. Okay, so let's see. Cetaceans represent a fairly minuscule population of all life. Millions of years of erosion, scavengers, and ocean currents take their toll on whale skeletons too. It's only the chosen few, the vast minority of all whales that have ever lived and died in the oceans over millions of years, that actually get preserved as fossils. Finds such as Hanhusi distillardi can unlock insights into how prehistoric whales ate, moved, and evolved. Okay, so researchers said the discoveries also helped to understand how ancient cetacean species adapted to warmer oceans. Meanwhile, Dullard planned to host a fossil party this weekend featuring cetacean themed games and whale shaped treats in jello to celebrate his nightmare puppet find finally confirmed. That's taken my concentration for 6 years. I've had sleepless nights. I've dreamt about this whale. Okay, well, I'm glad we found a new species of male-melanodontid whale within this region from the Oligocene epoch of prehistoric Australia, or supposedly New Zealand. No, it was Australia. Um, so I think they mentioned that it was around like 10 feet in length. Not sure how much it would have weighed. So that's a big question. So, guess let's move to the next article. Here we go with the dodo. This wide eyed animal owns the night, and one photographer stays up to catch it all. They're prowling in the shadows. As soon as night falls, photographer Ten Yong Lin likes to venture around his hometown in Singapore, hoping to capture someone elusive on film. He loves to photograph the wildlife in and around his city, but one of his favorite muses can hardly be seen during the day. So, what is this, an otter or a tapir? With the camera strapped around his neck, Lin walks around gazing at the trees, hoping to find a distinct pair of giant round eyes staring at him. Finally, he sees him. A common palm civet scurrying between houses cloaked in darkness. So there he is, member of the mustelid family. So these animals are more closely related to carnivores such as mongooses, ferrets, otters, badgers. Lin points the camera at the civet, but he has a different approach when photographing them than he does with other wildlife. Civets are largely nocturnal, and I do not use any artificial lights to photograph them, relying on the ambient light of the housing estates for my photos. Hmm. Hey, look at him.
Oh, he's gotta he must be using something like a Sony A7S III.
Yeah, yeah, probably. But that's a good picture. Illuminated solely by the dim house lights surrounding him, the palm civet looks at Lynn and seemingly poses for a shot before dashing away. You can't catch me. I see you.
Why does it look like he's posing, though?
Yeah, it does. Since they're nocturnal, most Singaporean residents miss the opportunity to see these little creatures, like Facebook user Hi Mau Mau, who commented on Lynn's photos in surprise. I live in Singapore for 50 years and never seen one. I've heard of that with some people, never seeing certain animals that live in a certain city. So let's see. Oh, well, it's just him in the dark. He's meditating. Palm civet sightings may be uncommon for some, but Lynn is constantly on the lookout for them. He's encountered countless wildlife sightings throughout his career. Seeing a palm civet running around always feels special. Prowling in the shadows, our urban common palm civets use the cover of nightfall to hunt and search for food both on the trees and on the ground. Making use of urban features such as fences and railings, they navigate our sleeping city with ease. With the abundance of tall trees in our neighborhood, they are also able to easily seek refuge in them should they feel threatened at any time. Wow. At least they seem quite common by his pictures. There's no question that palm civets feel faces safest when they can roam around the city at night without being seen. And thankfully, even when they come across adoring spectators like Lynn, the civets in Singapore receive the respect and space they require to thrive. These civets can be extremely shy as well, so I will keep my movement minimal and give them space by keeping a distance. Well, I'm glad that the civets seem to be doing okay within Singapore. I really do wonder what specific type of insects they might be feeding on. They can be somewhat omnivorous. I think they might even feed on certain types of fruit occasionally, but they're probably not going after anything large. Occasionally, though, depending on where the civets is from, because you can find certain civets in Africa, different parts of Asia, even Europe, they might even go after rabbits, depending on the species. Okay, so our final article. Oh, okay. So from mysantonio.com, I think we had trouble with this before. The unexpected animal Texans are spotting around town. Oh no. Wait. Oh, okay. This isn't normal. Is that a what? What's a wait? A porcupine over in San Antonio. Porcupines are like northern, like you tend to find them over in like different parts of northeastern United States. What's he doing in San Antonio? Porcupine sightings are on the rise in urban.
Riverwalk.
Huh?
He's headed to the Riverwalk.
Uh, uh, Porcupine sightings are on the rise in urban parts of Texas in 2025, with locals in San Antonio reporting the rare appearance of the spiky creatures outside their usual habitat. Am I missing something? Did I get their specific range wrong? Anyway, folks are starting to notice a rise in prickle pigs. I've never heard of that for porcupines, but okay. Across the cities, a recent sighting in south central Texas has left a few locals wondering if the bow-legged animals are stepping out of their natural habitat. Is there another? San Antonio native Veronica Manzai captured the rare moment she saw a porcupine creeping across the street on Tuesday, September 2nd. It happened late at night, she said, at around 7:34 near Grave Forest. They're more common in western Texas. Okay, I gotta double check my
Okay, I'm
porcupines.
I'm more I don't know if I'm more surprised about the fact that there's a porcupine or the fact that someone just called 7 something at night late at night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay, this is quite bewildering. Yeah, they're quite omnivorous, but I really wonder what he's feeding on in that region. Okay, so in a message to my SA, though, she added that there was one on both sides of the road. A couple of residents who were lucky to capture the pokey creatures recently also shared their encounters in the comments section. We had one near the medical center 2 days ago. Let's see. Another one wrote, I saw one in my neighborhood yesterday. Crazy. A majority of the animals, though completely at home in a tree, resided in the northern and western parts of the Lone Star State up until about 2016. It was around that time that San Antonio and Austin natives began reporting an increase in sightings across their sides of town. Considering their increased spread across the state, outdoors writer Mike Leggett proposed that porcupines become our state rodents. Jeez. Yet they aren't known to only waddle through bushes or across a busy roadway. Preferences include rocky areas, ridges, and slopes where crevices and caves provide den sites and large boulders serving as resting places. Flats, valleys, and gulches are not as appealing. With their large body, dark eyes, and vocal muttering sounds, they may appear intimidating to some, but these spiky visitors are not aggressive. However, they won't hesitate to approach you. In fact, they really want to. Led by their strong sense of smell, porcupines can be attracted to your musty, hand rubbed canoe paddles or to backpack straps that absorb sweat from your shoulders. They're looking for salt? Anything with the salty tang, there we go, of perspiration acts as a porcupine magnet. So you're sort of like the mountain goats over in Washington, except the porcupine will just, injure you slightly. Shouldn't kill you. Any murmurs or roars you hear upon their passing are not it trying to curse you out or a sign of distress, but rather it's their usual whine, and sometimes an often indication that they, want to mate.
With you? Well, that's a little weird.
Yeah, well, that moose told us something. Uh, when threatened, though, the animal's needle sharp quills do shoot up and are often accompanied by a swatting tail motion, a gesture it will do you good to respect. Researchers estimate that they have more than 3,000 across each square inch of their skin. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so that's another one, a tree. It's over in central or west Texas. Interesting. What impact could they have? Well, the department warns their frequency can be quite destructive to trees, as porcupines enjoy feeding on the inner bark of red oak, sumac, and mesquite. So let's see. They aren't easy to tame. If you come across porcupines damaging your trees, you can attempt to trap and relocate them. Wow, really? Like you can just do it yourself? Still, though, where are you going to put it? Appreciate the porcupine from a safe distance and listen for its old man grumble as it walks by. Um, okay, well, this is quite shocking with the porcupines over in Central and West Texas. I think there's less sightings, if any, over in East Texas, but I have to double check on that. This is quite unfortunate with what's happened with the great white sharks over in South Africa. And was there something with the mastodon? Trying to remember. Maybe not. That was interesting with the new species of whale off the coast of Australia. And see, yeah, I hope the Cougars do well over in Orange County. So, hope you enjoyed this stream. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This has been a Saturday edition of Creature Guide Live. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know.